Hello you lot, it's Joe from Prometheus here again, just doing another urban foraging walk. For all information about safety and the laws, please have a look at Urban Foraging Part 1. Thank you. This first one is called Alkanet. It's not edible, it's poisonous. Anything that's got little blue flowers like this with a white middle, just be aware of. Speedwell and Alkanet are poisonous plants, so just stay away from them. This one is Bramble. Everyone should know Brambles, where you get your blackberries from. Blackberries absolutely packed full of vitamin C. When you're picking them, what you want to be doing is picking the ones that grow first, that are the biggest, and on the lowest branches, obviously being well aware of dogs that might have weed on them, but they're the best for eating straight off the bush. The other ones are only really good if you use sugar, so things like crumbles, pies, and cordials. Amazing. When you're picking your blackberries, it's a really good idea to leave them in a bowl of salted water for about 20 minutes and make sure they're covered, so all of the blackberries are covered underneath the salted water. You'll be amazed after 20 minutes how many bugs and maggots will float to the surface. You know, it's not going to do you any harm eating them. Added protein is what I like to call it. There's over 360 different species of brambles, but I couldn't tell you the difference between two, to be fair. There's very subtle differences in each. All of them taste amazing. Here we have Pendulous Sedge. Several different uses. The leaves are absolutely amazing for doing matting. If you're into your weaving, you can use it for weaving into mats. It's called Pendulous Sedge because at the end of a large stem, you have these seed heads that hang like pendulums. This is obviously the beginning of the year. This is last year's seed crop, so you won't be able to eat anything from here. But when they're in their late season at the end of summer, you can actually scrape off those seeds and you can make little cookies out of them. They're quite nutritious, high in starch and carbohydrates. Really nice, very, very common little plant. Most of our seeds that you get from the world, grasses, sedges, reeds, you can't actually eat them because there's a little toxin that our bodies aren't used to anymore. And if you need to tell the difference between reeds, grasses and sedges, reeds are round in their stems. Sedges have edges, so normally sedges are triangular in shape in their stems, and grasses, if you split them in two, they normally have a hole going through the middle of them. That's a really good way of being able to tell the difference between the three. So this is gorse. There's three different types of gorse. They're all edible, very spiky, so it's quite difficult to harvest from it. The things that you can eat off it is the flowers. They're yellow flowers. They say when gorse goes out of flower, kissing will go out of fashion. So there'll always be gorse in flower somewhere in the UK. The flowers taste like peas, raw peas, and then they're very young shoots. You can just see there, the very young shoots at the very tip. They're edible as well. Packed full of nitrogen, so they normally put quite a lot of nitrogen back into the soil, which is why it's a bit of a nightmare on heathland. Because heath and heather in particular likes nitrogen depleted soils, so we have to keep cutting this back in conservation or forestry just to make sure that the heather can then regrow. It's invasive, but it's really tasty and you can eat it. Gorse flower wine you can make out of it as well. Gorse flower cordial you can make, and I like to pan roast the very fine shoots, a little bit of smoked bacon and some white wine sauce. Absolutely gorgeous. Really, really common, especially, like I said, on heaths. You'll find it everywhere. Just be careful when you're picking it. Obviously, you don't want to get spiked, but it's a good one to know. This is bay, also known as sweet laurel. You do need to be a little bit careful when picking any leaves like this because you've got plants like rhododendron, which is packed full of cyanide, and you've also got other species of laurel which are poisonous. If you crush the leaf up, smell it, you'll know that distinctive bay smell. You can use it in casseroles, you can use it for pickling vegetables. It adds a really good aromatic taste to anything that you're going to put it in. Obviously the leaves, when you're talking about a laurel wreath that goes on your head, it's been long regarded as a mark of champion. So emperors used to have laurel leaves, but it was literally the bay, sweet laurel, that used to have over their heads. So this is what was used for thousands and thousands of years to denote somebody of intelligence or somebody that has accomplished something in their lives. But I use it obviously in all of my casseroles, and also if you're into pickling, putting a few bay leaves into anything that you're pickling your vegetables really does make a difference. And it has got, it's supposed to treat baldness. I've tried it, doesn't work. Another little common plant, you'll normally find it around nettles in hedgerows. It's got several different names. It's got sticky weed, it sticks to you. Sticky willy, goosegrass. Its proper name is Cleavers. It's an amazing little plant. You can eat the plant, but those little hairs that stick the plant to your clothing will also stick to your throat if you try and eat it. So what I normally do is you just eat the very tips. There's hardly any hairs on there, but it's a really helpful little plant to know. What it does is actually clears out your lymphatic system and acts as a diuretic, so it makes you go to the toilet. And because it bolsters and cleans out your lymphatic system, your lymphatics basically are the bits that take all the toxins out of your blood. So if you've got a really helpful and clear lymphatic system, then it's basically going to do absolute wonders for you. Grows everywhere, part of the coffee family. So those little seeds that you get during summer, after summer, those can be roasted up and you can make a coffee out of them. It is very bitter, so if you wanted to have cleavers in your life, which I do suggest you do, a really easy way to get them into your body is if you just grab some of the very young shoots, put them into a food processor, one big handful, put it into a food processor, chop up a whole lemon, a couple of big 2 tablespoons of runny honey, just enough water to cover the cleavers, and then leave it on a blitz for a good couple of minutes, and then just pass it through a muslin cloth. It does look like pond water, but it tastes like limoncello. Another little common plant, common sorrel. Several different types of sorrel. You've got sheep sorrel, buckler sorrel. This is common sorrel, so that's the most likely one that you'll find. Just be careful when you're picking it. Just make sure that when you pick the young shoots, it's got a real dovetailed bottom, so a real triangular shaped bottom to the leaf. Always reminds me of either a dovetail or bottom of a gentleman's jacket. It can be confused when it's juvenile of lords and ladies. Lords and ladies is rounded at the bottom, and you normally find it in woods. Common sorrel, pointed at the bottom, and you'll normally find it in meadows, grasslands and things like that. Lords and ladies will very rarely be out in the middle of a field somewhere. Again, if you're not 100% sure, don't pick it, but it's gorgeous in soups. It's great in with chicken, fish. It's got a real lemony zing to it, but as we've talked about before, picking it on sides of roads like this is not a good place to pick it. Have a look in the meadows, you'll find it everywhere. This is wood avens, also known as herb bennet. Herb bennet is actually from a medieval way they used to call this herb. Herba benedicta is where it's come from, which means the holy herb, and that's because the 3 big leaves you'll see at the top of a leaf, that's supposed to be the sign of a holy trinity. I mean, it's got 2 little leaves underneath it, and so the whole of the 5 leaves together are supposed to represent the 5 wounds of Christ. But it's known as wood avens nowadays. What you want to do is you want to dig up the root. It's the root that actually gives you the flavour, and it's got a smell that's identical to cloves. You need to dry it out a little bit to get a proper smell of it, because otherwise it will just be earthy. This is a pathetic root. Normally the roots will grow 2 inches, quite thick. You can dry them out, ground them down, and well, it's really only been used in the making of ales to add a clove-like flavour to the ales. But you can put a little bag of it, a bag of the roots once they're dried out, into your linen, your clothes. It's supposed to ward away moths, but it definitely fragrances your linen. I like over Christmas time, pick a load of these roots and just have a little bag of that in my car, and it makes your car smell a little bit Christmassy, cloves. So that's it for another Prometheus urban lockdown bushcraft skills. Please stay safe. Look after yourselves and each other, and I'll keep posting these as soon as I can. Loads more to come. Okay, take care. Bye.